What's going on, guys? It's Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, MyMMAnews.com, and I am actually joined by SMS Productions. Shane, what's going on, Shane? I know that we told everybody that we were going to be doing the live reaction to KSW 45. I've been running around trying to get like the link because I don't want to share too much information, but I don't currently have DAZN. And I was really hoping that we could find a link somewhere out there. Fortunately, I wasn't able to, but I was keeping up with the live discussion. It's still going live right now. You actually were able to sit there and watch it while I was like scurrying around. James McSweeney, who obviously I do the show with, you know very well. Let's start with let's start with him going into this fight and getting it rescheduled. Did you think that they were going to find another opponent, because this was a short notice fight for James?
Well, I didn't know if they were going to find an opponent. I think I told James, I asked him about it before he even knew, to be honest with you. He didn't even know about it. The media and everything posted it before him even knowing. So I texted him just to make sure it was legit. And he's like, well, nobody informed me. That's pretty cool, though. So he was happy he still got the fight. But, yeah, it was a better fight for him, in my opinion.
And you know what? Honestly, Thiago Thiago Silva is a monster in his own right. This is two huge heavyweights. James was really looking forward to this fight. And the thing that you brought up to me was that James actually went back to training with one of his old coaches.
Yeah, he went back to Holland. That's something, I always like to tell him a couple things here and there, but, I'm not a fighter, so I can't say nothing. But I know when he was with Lucian a couple times for a full camp in MMA, he always looked good. So I was just hoping he would make that decision on his own, and he did. And he did look good for what it was, but, that's something I've been wanting, and it's sad it had to come at this age, but, better late than never.
So what happened in this fight? Like, what did I miss exactly? Because I was trying to tune in and I had some difficulties. I am pulling up the Reddit site and like reading everybody's comments there. Bring us through that first round. Exactly what was going on there, because what I'm reading here, it sounds like James had a pretty good first round.
He had a very great first round. The first round was him just, his footwork, definitely at least for the first round, or at least the first few minutes, like whatever it is, he's untouchable. The guy moves so quick and so fast. The techniques were 100%. The combinations he uses, Thiago couldn't touch him. He actually even clinched up with him and took him down at one point, got a nice switch from double to a single, got him down, pulled him down, but didn't go to the ground with him, which I thought, in my opinion, was a mistake. I thought he should have, but he let him right back up. But other than that, beautiful high kicks, beautiful techniques. I mean, the commentators were just like, that's high-level striking. When he's on and he's not tired or anything like that, it's some of the best striking you're probably going to see.
You know what? He has a huge background in kickboxing and Muay Thai and stuff like that. People don't realize that James' record for Muay Thai is like incredible. It's like what? He's got 100 and something wins, or close to 100 wins, and only a couple of losses there. The transition that he was making into mixed martial arts that we saw, we all got to witness when James came over to mixed martial arts, with Rashad Evans, Big Brown on that season of Ultimate Fighter. And throughout that season, he went into the UFC, and it just seems like some people, it's really hard for them to transfer over a lot of things, like learning some stuff. So, throughout the years, he's got some pretty tough matchups. This one, another big name right here. I was actually telling him I would love to see him fight for like lion fight or something like that. I think that would be pretty cool. Just not have to worry about takedowns and stuff like that. Because let's even talk about the fight that he had with Tai Tuivasa, who is now in the UFC. I mean, that was the reason why Tai got into the UFC. Was like after that fight, he really proved himself taking out somebody like James. And I think Dana.
Let's clarify that one. A lot of people, you go read the forums and everything. Everybody's like, oh, let's be straight. Tai didn't do anything. James' body and that beat him before Tai even, Tai didn't land anything on him. So Ty got lucky with that. I mean, James beat him the whole round with no problem, and he had that eye problem and didn't come out for the second. So that's how Ty got in the UFC. So I don't put it anywhere for that discussion.
I'm just saying, like, after that, I was able to get into the UFC because James has such a big name that I was like, all right, maybe you can do well in the UFC since you got through that. And I believe Dana White, like, even met up with them. I don't know what they talked about, what they spoke about, but I'm sure it had something to do with that there. So let's see what happened here. Was there an eye poke or something? Like, I'm reading through the Reddit forums round by round. What happened with this eye poke?
Well, there was something. James like came in with a switch right hand into a knee, and he was complaining. I think what it was is they clashed heads, and I think his head just went right into his eye because his eye was like started to bleed out of nowhere, and it happened a couple times. Like the second one was clearly once again. After that happened in the third round, James came again. He hit him with a combination. Right when he did, they just clashed heads, and he got his other eye got busted up.
So did you give the first round to James?
Oh yeah, with ease. The first round was definitely James. But he did start to look like, he was kind of moving back a little bit, trying to get his wind back because I think he exerted a little too much energy. But I don't know, I figure if he went and he made it out to the second, I figure just a nice little win would get him back in there, and it kind of did. But like I said, the guy's a good friend of mine, but I really think like his style. I mean, and the commentators were talking about it also. His style, why it's beautiful, it's amazing to watch. It can't sustain for so long. It can only sustain for so long, especially when you're 250 pounds. Like he is fighting. His techniques are a lot for smaller guys. His pace is of a lightweight, and he can only sustain that for so long.
So obviously, this is also on KSW, which is a big promotion for him that he was trying to get back in the good graces because there was a lot of stuff that was going on. Do you know exactly what the schedule for KSW is? For you say they only have like a couple of cards a year. Would you like to see him back on KSW, or are you on my boat where you're like, I really want to see him kickboxing or Muay Thai? I mean, it's not really my call. I love James. I want to see him get a W. What are your thoughts there? What do you think James should do next?
I always told him he probably doesn't remember this, and he's probably gonna remember it now if he hears this. He can be like, "Oh, you little son of a bitch!" Now I do remember that. Before we knew each other too well, I think we were on like a year of knowing each other, and this was right after he got cut from the UFC. Lost to Rico Rodriguez, but it wasn't bad. It was decision loss, almost knocked him out. He was still just naturally going down to a fight. Then he took a fight against this guy, Francisco France. He had a perfect camp. He was in great shape. Just went up against a world champion like Rico Rodriguez, and it was mainly on the ground. I survived with him. Francisco France submitted him within like 2 minutes, and the guy missed weight and everything. And that was like a 4-fight losing streak. And at the time, James, records mean a lot in this sport, and I think promoters didn't look after him right. And I think that's also him too. He loves to test himself, and he doesn't really care about that. And that's all nice, but there is at a certain point where you do need to kind of look at that. I told him I would love for him to go back into kickboxing back in like 2011, and it just never happened. Then it finally happened just this past year. So
yeah,
I would love for him to go back to kickboxing. I think he looks a lot. I think that's just where his roots are. This fight in particularly, if he wants to do MMA, he had Thiago. He literally pulled him down the ground like nothing. He should have, if he loves MMA, he should, in my opinion, went to the ground with him, put that 250 pounds on him. He had a 25-pound advantage.
Yeah,
put that weight on him and just beat the crap out of him. Because I don't care who you are, James on top of you is not a good thing. And let's face it, yeah, Thiago Silva's a black belt. But even Thiago Silva, when he was constantly going around people, he was never the best off his back. I think James could have finished him right there. He just needed to get on top of him, but he wanted to stand. And if you want to stand, I would really love if he goes to kickboxing. I think there's some big fights to be made there, in glory. If he just makes it and gets one fight in, I think that would be a good move for him. But
it sucks because, James has never really lost in a bad fight. The fights that he does lose is in a decision. And, somebody like Silva, man, he's beating people like Keith Jardine, Houston Alexander, Matt Hamill. The list goes on there with him. And obviously James beating people like Matt Mitrione and having fights with Travis Brown and Roy Nelson and stuff like that. Obviously really exciting, but I feel really bad for James because even in his last fight, there was a really big misunderstanding with like the rounds. I think he was telling us like he thought it was 5-minute rounds because it was or 5 rounds because it was for a championship fight. It ended up only being 3 rounds. Did you catch wind of that? Did you watch that fight that he had? And what are your thoughts there?
I watched that. I bought that one, and once I saw like after the 3rd round, Fernando Rodriguez was all running around. I'm like, the fuck is he running around for? And the next thing they said, I had never seen a title fight 3 rounds. I have in like lower level, maybe. That's for their heavyweight division, So this was a heavyweight, but it was just shocking. So, and that was like a big, Superior Challenge is a decent promotion for what it is. So I was kind of shocked that they did that.
So I'm reading some of these comments here. It seems like James did a lot of like high kicks. Like he was actually getting through a lot. The commentary was siding with him a lot. What was the commentary pointing out? You said that they were talking about his footwork and stuff like that. Who is commentating for KSW?
I forgot the guy's name. He's a fun commentator to watch because the knockouts and stuff start happening. He says the funniest stuff, but he was, both of them were really impressed with James. The combinations he has is this beautiful combination of, a left hook to the liver, right hand as you go with the right hand to a right high kick. And he was doing it perfectly. His high kicks, he was landing with high kicks, and he did rock Silva in the 1st round for a split second with the high kick. And that's actually what got him the takedown when he got him against the cage. And if he pressured him a little bit more, he probably could have done something like that.
So, do you set the record straight? What is your relationship with James McSweeney? Because one thing I didn't notice about you was like before I started connecting with James, before I connected with you or started following you, I actually saw a lot of your videos on YouTube, especially the Cub Swanson one that you put together, The Beautiful Destruction, one of my favorite pieces I've ever seen, literally. And I had no idea it was even you, even after all these years, until I went back and saw it again, and you created it. First off, before we ask about you and James, what is your connection with mixed martial arts? Have you fought before in the past? Are you just really good with designing things? What's your interest in mixed martial arts? How did you get involved with this game?
Well, I was always a big kickboxing fan. That was my main thing. I was always, the huge K1 fan. And so what I could watch, the only reason I ever saw MMA was through, my brother. We were big wrestling fans, and we got those, Japan cards. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but it was a promotion back in the day called Rings. And I seen that once when I was a kid, and I think my first kickboxing fight I seen was Gilbert Ivel versus Ray Seppo. I saw Gilbert Ivel on that card, and I was like, oh, this is cool. So, as I went on later on in the years, when MMA just started to kind of pick up, I found kickboxing instead, and that's what I usually come to love. And I was mainly that and boxing. And then I wouldn't say MMA. I seen the Ken Shamrock and T. Ortiz fight just because I was a wrestling fan when I was a kid. So Ken Shamrock, I'm like, that's pretty awesome.
Same here.
Yeah, and then the Ultimate Fighter kind of came up, and I was just starting to watch it then because that's when Ken Shamrock was coming back. So that old guy brought me back into it. That guy brought me into it. So, but I was kind of kickboxing and boxing.
And then how did you get connected with James? Because it seems like you guys actually are really close. I didn't even know how close you guys were until James was like, oh, Shane told you this, and, then fine. I can't explain exactly what happened, how the conversation came, because it had to do with the whole issues that we had with, recently. But yeah, how did you meet James? Like, how did you guys become so close with one another?
Well, I picked up video editing. I don't know why, but I would skip through the Ultimate Fighter seasons. Like, I think 1, 2, and 3, and 4, I watched crazy. And then 5 came, it was really good. I stopped after that. And then, I kind of went looking elsewhere for things. I kind of watched what little bit left over was Pride. I kind of saw that. And then they started showing that in the U.S. like a couple years before they disbanded, like on Fox Sports Network and everything. Well, I found Cage Rage, and I seen James on there, and I did not even know who he was at the time. But I was only watching him because a kickboxer that I was a huge fan of, Michael McDonald,
Yes,
was fighting on the card. And I'm like, oh, and then they picked up this guy named James McSweeney. I'm like, in that thing, Michael McDonald just had a few wins. He was kind of having a setback, but he had a few wins. He was looking for one more shot at the big shows. And his plan was to go in and fight. I think he wanted to rematch Remy Bonjensky one more time. James was supposed to be a gimme fight, and James completely destroyed him. And he really impressed me. Like, I mean, the stuff he would do was just amazing to watch. Like, he would sit there, hit him with the knee of the guy's rock. He would run right across the cage with a flying knee.
Oh, I remember that one. I seen that clip. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just so crazy to watch, and his techniques were so good. And then, I never really kept an eye on him after that. I haven't seen him after that, except for I saw him one time at the K1 World Grand Prix. He was an exhibition bout, and it was a card against Melvin Manhoff versus Remy Bonjensky. And that fight got him in, and he did that fight. He lost, but he looked great when he did it. And then once again, I didn't hear from him for a minute. And then next thing I know, I see the Ultimate Fighter 10, and I see his face. I'm like, oh, what the hell is this guy, do mixed martial arts? This is going to be cool. So I started following him since then. And, even then, he showed, he was good. His leg kicks were just brutal. I was like, well, from what I've seen, the Michael McDonald fight, he hasn't really pulled into it in MMA yet, but I'm like, he'll get there. And I made a highlight.
Let's talk about Ultimate Fighter Season 10, because I think that's where a lot of people will recognize him. That was such a huge season. You had Brandon Schaub on there. You had Roy Nelson, Matt Mitrione. The list goes on and on with how many good characters were on there. Schoonover. And obviously Rampage versus Rashad Evans was on there. First, let me say this before we even dive into James. Did you see Rampage fight last weekend?
I saw most of it because I didn't get to catch it, but I saw most of it. Rampage is 250 pounds. I'm not crazy about. I don't like it, but it was fun. I expected a worse fight out of those
That's
two.
my point here. Yeah.
I respect the hell out of Benny. That guy was hardly in any shape whatsoever, and he still came out there and been his true self. I think there was a feeling he probably knew, it's either I'm going to knock him out or I'm getting knocked out one too. And he let it go. And it was exciting for what it was.
I'm happy that fight was actually a lot better than people thought, because I feel like that boosts up, or at least makes us believe that Tito versus Chuck is going to be a little better than we are thinking. At least we are hoping. If there's anything that could prove that maybe it's not going to be as bad as we thought it was. But let's jump back into James talking here, because he was the first pick on that season Ultimate Fighter with Rashad Evans. That was a huge season. Kimbo Slice on there. A lot of great moments. But like you said earlier in the interview, it was very fresh for him when he came over to the Ultimate Fighter. He was coming with a kickboxing, Muay Thai background into the mixed martial arts scene. And then you had Brandon Schaub, who, very green hat at the time as well, going up against Roy Nelson in the finale. That was just an exciting season with the heavyweights. Finally, it's back, but no one's paying attention as much as they did back then. I really enjoyed that season of Ultimate Fighter. What was your impression that left with you for James when he got into the UFC?
From what I see, you could tell he still had, when you see a lot of the Dutch guys go into MMA, they have the same style of the stance. They're hardly using their hands unless it's looking for a knockout punch, but they're mainly going for their kicks. He had that, just his hands down, His feet were wide, ready just to blast kicks and look for a big punch. I was like, he just needs to get a little bit more in it. I don't think he and at that time he was kind of still a smaller in heavyweight, and Ultimate Fighter's hand was like nothing but big guys, like that football player he fought was like
the first fight
90. Yeah, that West Shivers guy. He was quick. James was like like a toddler against him, but he chopped him down with kicks and he did decent. And that's a fight. Another thing, people was like, oh, if he could have lost that fight, that guy took him down one time and tried to get a Americana, and that was it. The rest of the fight was really James just beating the crap out of his legs and almost knocking him out.
That fight actually appeared on Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and Butthead, they sat on the couch and reviewed that fight when the whole nut shot part.
I did. I've seen that live. I was just sitting home watching TV, and I seen that. And I literally texted him, but someone else already got to. He already started seeing people talk about it. I think everybody that knew him obviously seen it that night. We were all texting. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, it was hilarious. I showed everybody after I saw it too. But you know what? Honestly, man, at this point in James' career, I really thought, I want to be honest, I really thought this was going to be a fight for him to get back on his feet, boost the motivation in himself, because, he's such a hardcore fighter. He puts so much into it. If you watch him getting ready for fights and stuff, the way he prepares is just he is the fighter's fighter. I mean, you can't get any more brutal than James McSweeney. It just he's not able to get. I don't know if it's not luck or what it is here, but I don't know. What are your thoughts here with James? Because I was really rooting for him. I really want him to get the win, and it sucks because every time he loses, it's in a decision. It's so frustrating and upsetting. I really wanted to see him happy and was hoping that this fight would change a lot for him. But what are your thoughts here?
Being a James McSweeney fan, it's hard to say. I think I've been around pretty much most of his MMA career, and it is a roller coaster because when it's up, and it's truly fun. And when it's low, it's low. When he loses, especially certain losses, he hurts it. I mean, it hurts me. It really I was sitting here watching it, and I just put my head down and just shook my head. And to be honest, a lot of times I do it because I think it shouldn't have happened. He shouldn't have lost the fight. And if he gets hit or something, there's certain things he won't do. He won't get his bats off.
Mentally, you're saying he has to be mentally right, is what you're saying, right?
He does. He has to be mentally right, and I think he was mentally prepared for this because he looks for when he was fresh. He looked so good. Even when he got when he got winded, he still looked good. Because when James is winded, I've seen him get it can get pretty kind of sloppy in there. But even winded, he was still looking good. Another thing, the guy has great boxing, and I really wish he would use it more. I really wish he would throw some hand combinations in there because that guy's got so much power in his hands that, I kind of want to say, do you not know this? You see the guy hit mitts, and when he's knocked people out of his hands, it's really, really brutal. And he'll go and use his kicks a lot more. But I really wish he would use his hands more. But it got to a point where when he fell in love with grappling, he would grapple so much and it would gas him out, and that would cause him to fight. Now it was this fight. There was no grappling. He got one takedown. He didn't even go to the ground with him. That style he has, they were even saying on commentary, I know a guy that trained with him. It's a beautiful style. The techniques are amazing, but the pace that he puts on, the movements he uses, are not of a heavyweight. And, in his last fight, he did it right in the MMA fight, not the Muay Thai fight, but against Fernando Rodriguez. He was more not as bouncy on his feet. And when he's not as bouncing on his feet, his strikes come harder and he can set up more. And this fight, he was loose on his feet, but you can only sustain that for so long. I don't care how hard he trains. You're 250 pounds. You can't move like you're a lightweight. It just can't happen. So I hope he like kind of looks at that and be like, all right, I can do these techniques and this stuff, but not let me bounce on my feet and switching stances, like crazy, to where it's gonna affect his cardio. And I kind of hope he works on that.
So now that we're here and talking about this, I want to ask a little bit about the Danzen stream, because it's a big new movement, a new push, especially with Bellator signing with them. How was your stream for Danzen? Because I was reading some comments on the forum on Reddit, and some people were having some issues, but like when I streamed the Bellator fights the other night, it was crystal clear, and I was not on the actual Danzen site, but it was from the Danzen site.
I have no idea. The stream for me is working fine. Like I said, I didn't get to catch it for
Bellator.
Yeah, I didn't get to catch it live, but the stream I have it, up here. I'm at a vape shop right now. My friend's vape shop, and sells beer, and he's got a Fire Stick. We download the Danzen app. I'm watching. I watch fights on this big, huge TV. It's going just fine for me.
So are you guys going to be watching the fights tonight for UFC 229? Can you watch that on the Fire Stick?
You can probably order it through the Fire Stick. I'm not. I'm going to just head to a bar with a couple of friends and watch it. I kind of wanted to order this one, but over half of my friends, they already had plans, and they're not watching the fight tonight. So it's like, well, I'm not going to buy the fight for me. It's like 2 people. So
yeah,
we're just going to go out and get it.
It's definitely going to be a big fight. Who do you got, Conor or Khabib?
I got Conor. Khabib he's good in his own right, but I don't think he is as good as people think. I think the best way I could put it, Conor ground game is way better. Their both weaknesses is Conor's ground and Khabib's stand-up. Conor's ground game is way better than as his weakness, and Khabib as a stand-up. I don't see him being able to last that long on the feet. I think, with Michael Johnson, that little shot he landed, I don't take that into consideration. But at the same time, Michael Johnson is just fast and athletic with a little bit of okay technique. He does not have the arsenal that Conor McGregor has, and I don't think Khabib is going to be able to handle that.
Yeah, I got Conor TKO round 2. Guys, make sure to subscribe down below, because we will be doing a live reaction for that. Before I let you go, I just want to make a quick statement to James. What can I even say here? I don't know, man. I really hope James gets back in there. I hope that he doesn't get too upset about this, because a lot of it has been a lot of stress with him, I feel like. And we were talking about the whole mental thing. It seemed like he was mentally prepared for this, but even you got to keep in mind the opponent falling out, and just the issues that he's had in the past with getting fights, or just fights falling out for whatever reason. And we both know what I'm talking about there. It just seems like he needs to get back up on his feet. This fight seemed like it would have been that time for it, but unfortunately we weren't able to get it. But it's not all over. It's not all over for James McSweeney. Like I said, I would still like to see him in a Muay Thai fight, kickboxing, something like that. The options are endless. Even Bellator kickboxing would be pretty badass to see him on there. But no love lost here. You live, you learn, and I can't wait to see James back in there. It's really one thing I love about what I do, is seeing how fighters carry themselves. It's one thing that we can relate with. We all got stress going on in our lives, but it's not publicly seen on TV. We're not on TV getting knocked out or losing fights and stuff like that. I give so much credit to guys that have to go through that. And James McSweeney, man, he always keeps his head up. Even after fights that don't go his way, you'll see him goofing off backstage with his opponent, or stealing the belt and running away with it. Just little stuff like that. He's such a happy soul. He's such a good guy. And, it breaks my heart to see stuff like this happen, especially in a decision. So hopefully James can get his head around and get back on the ball, man. You know how brutal these fight fans are out there. They wreck any fighter. There's fight fans out there that wreck Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor, and both these guys are at the top. You know what I mean? So, no love lost. This is a brutal sport. What is your final thought here before we end this whole James McSweeney talk?
If he, what's the word Steven put here? He is, in my opinion, skill-wise, a top high level, like in terms of top level guys, he is up there with them in his technique and skills. I think it's just maybe a mental thing. Plus, he does have to change his style a little bit to be there. And I feel he is going to reach there before he gives it up. And, I hope he can just let this one slide through and just get back on it and figure out, to change some things. And I do feel as long as he's still mentally there, that he's on. And I think he can still be a top guy in wherever he fights. He just needs to,
yeah, man, I
find that right moment.
It's just been so up and down with him, with the way that fights have been falling out, and it's a little confusing what's been going on for him. It's got to be extremely frustrating for him, and I feel like he just needs like a state. Like I feel like he needs to just like kind of steady out. I feel like he's matched up a lot of these fights recently that just fell through, and I can only imagine how frustrating that could be after spending all the money on fight camp and getting ready for it, and then it falling through, and then getting this short notice fight and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but it's definitely frustrating for anybody that has to put themselves through that,
Yeah, and there's really, kind of no excuses because, like I say, a lot of fights that he loses, he should win. Like,
yeah.
And fights that he loses, like, he not only should win, and even when something happens, he was winning. So it's just, he'll find that bad luck in a fight. And once that bad luck finds him in a fight, like, it sticks. It really does just stick there. Like, when it's good, it's good. And once that bad luck finds him, it sticks. And it's just, I guess he just has to.
Let us know what you guys thought about today's fights for KSW. Let us know what you think about tonight's fights in the comments down below. Shane, where can people find you on social media outside of Instagram? Because your Instagram, for people that want to find you there, you can follow them at SMS Productions 713. Where else can they find you?
I have Twitter as well. It's SMS Productions. Yes, I still use Twitter, people. And I have a Facebook page where every time I post new videos, it's up. You can find me SMS Productions as well. And on YouTube, of course, just search SMS Productions. And I just released a video last week that took me nearly 6 months to make.
Wow.
It was like 17 minutes long. It was on James, actually, head coach Lucian Carbon. I made a video for him and a lot of his old school fighters. And, kind of people talk about shootbox back in the day, but Lucian Carbon probably had the most killers with the Overeem brothers, Gilbert Ivel, James, Rodney Blunder. So any kickboxing fans, I do a lot of kickboxing plus MMA on my content, and you can find me on YouTube there.
Man, yeah, and you get some good content as well. That's crazy because one thing with me as a content creator, it's like, filming and all that's really fun, and I love the editing, but sometimes it's so tedious. It takes so long. And I'm the kind of person that I just want to like fire through it. I just want to, release it to the world. I give you a lot of credit. 6 months to work on something is a long time, but what I'm learning is that it's better to have put more time into your content and have it actually look good and sound good and all that than rush through it and just pump out 100 videos. You know what I mean? Like, I think it makes a big difference for the people out there that are actually putting their time in their videos. I follow YouTube very hardcore, just even outside the MMA scene, and I got a lot of respect for people that are out there doing what you do. And I've seen a lot of your videos, man, and it's definitely take a lot of respect on your plate there. So
I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm trying to make my comeback into it. I kind of died on it. It's really the rendering that I hate. Like, I can put it together, and then I'll just kind of take a break for a minute, think about some things, and then like when I'm done, like this last video took me 23 hours to render. So yeah, so it takes a long time, and it's patience. But when the work's out there, it gets out there, it's good. So I'm thinking of doing something. I always try to do something different. I don't like doing the same thing people do. Like, we got so many like decent ones out there, and I'm trying to find a fight. I don't want to be like everybody else. Like, everybody's probably making Conor McGregor versus Speed promos.
Of course.
I'm thinking of doing something for Conor, but I'm thinking of doing it totally different than what people have already been putting out. So if he wins tonight, I got a good project on my hands.
That's interesting. I'm looking forward to see, like, can you give us like a little hint? Like, what do you mean different? Different as in?
Well, it's gonna be, a lot of my videos, if you watch them, and James too, like, if a fighter like has any low moments in his career or low moments in times, I put that out there and like I put it to the world and like it's low moments, but the high, when it gets to the high, it's like it makes it good. And I think that's what makes my videos a little bit different, because like it's a roller coaster to be like, it's so low you don't even know what it's about to be, and then it turns into something to show. It shows what a fighter has progressed through. And I think now with all the incidents with his courts and all that, I'm putting something decent out there. It's something different.
You got me excited just even thinking about it, because your work is so amazing. Especially, guys, if there's one video I really would like you to see by him, it is the Cub Swanson video, Beautiful Destruction. Go check it out. Thank you so much for joining me here today. We got to do this again sometime soon. But my last question, since you're at the liquor store, did they order the new Conor McGregor whiskey? What is it?
It's actually a vape shop. But I talked him in months ago to sell beer. So we got craft beer here, good beer, not no Bud Light. So we got real craft beer. I think I'm gonna buy some of that whiskey and bring it in here. I want to try myself. So.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So I'm gonna order me some of that whiskey.
I think it's called like Proper Number 12, Proper Number 13. I've been looking for it and I can't fucking find it. So
yeah, it's on. For anybody that wants to find it, I have already seen it. I think it's on Amazon. You can find it on Amazon. You ain't gonna find it in your local store yet, because it's still brand new. But go on Amazon and you'll find it, and they'll ship it to you.
Every liquor store I've gone into, I keep telling them, you got to get this whiskey. You got to get this whiskey. Imagine that, just like a big poster board cut out of Connor. That she'll sell right out. Right out.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Last but not least, thank you and have a great day. Is there any shout outs, sponsors, anything at all? The floor is all yours, Shane.
Just, you like different videos, just hit up my YouTube channel and check out my videos, and that's pretty much it. And actually, you know what? Vapor Galaxy, because let me watch the fight here, plus hook me up with a craft load of beer. I'm about to enjoy my afternoon time. So the fight.
Shane Staley, everybody. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day, and we'll talk to you in a little bit.
You too, brother. Take care.
There you guys go. The KSW preview card. My co-host James McSweeney going in there against a fucking another UFC veteran in Thiago Silva. And man, it is a crazy fight day. You got Lion Fight going down tonight. We just had KSW. Then also UFC 229. I'm so happy to have these distractions in life. When you're going through hell, you're going through some shit, it's nice to have distractions. And it's nice to have distractions that you're good at. So guys, more live streams coming later tonight. I can't fucking wait. I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, MyMMAnews.com. White Knuckles to the end. Behave yourselves.